Are you in the market to buy a cow? This episode is going to walk you through the questions that you need to ask to buy a cow. What is acceptable to ask? Hint, any question that you are curious about is an acceptable question to ask the seller of your potential cow. How do you breed her once you get her home? All this is going to be covered in today's episode, and I am so excited to get into it with you today. Welcome to Simply Living Homestead, where we empower homesteaders and preserve traditions. I'm your host, Amanda Carlin, and I help homesteading families bring peace and order to their lives. My friend, are you overwhelmed with all the tasks on your homestead? Do you wish for a mentor to guide you through the tough moments each day? Then you've come to the right place. Together, we will learn to organize our homestead, love our families well, and walk in the peace of God. If you're ready to get unstuck from the constant feeling of overwhelm, then join us each week as we explore practical advice, inspiring stories, and heartfelt encouragement to help you thrive. Let's grow a sustainable, meaningful life together, both in the home and on the homestead. Welcome back to the homestead. Today we are continuing our series on Homestead Dairy. We are talking about how to buy a cow today and how do you breed her once you brought her home. What are all the questions that we ask when we are first looking at a cow, when you are on the marketplaces, when you are on Craigslist, when you know somebody down the road that's selling a cow? What questions are we asking to make sure that that cow is a good fit for you? And how do we go about that? And what do we do with breeding? This episode gets very passionate and I am super excited to share it with you today. So let's get into it. All right. Let us talk about how to actually purchase a cow. So we've gone through the different cows and what you might be looking for. When you go to buy a cow, you, as the buyer, are allowed to ask all of the questions. A good seller is going to list a lot of this in their descriptions as they're trying to sell their animal. But you are allowed to ask questions, and if the seller is getting annoyed at your questions, walk away. Okay? Just walk away. Your best options for buying a cow is your local homestead, dairies with aligned values, grass-fed, hands-on care. If they are doing what you want, they are a good place to get a cow. But a lot of people don't have that option. Here in Iowa, that's only been an option since 2024 that you could really even find that around, and even that it's still kind of in scarce supply. So what are your other options? Well, you can get them from a commercial dairy. You can go to someone that is already very much in the business, and you can just get one from them. You can look on your local Craigslist or Facebook. There are cow selling groups. Marketplace, you can't find them just by Googling it on Marketplace for Facebook, because selling animals is not allowed on Facebook Marketplace. But Craigslist, you can find some. Here is the caution about Craigslist in particular. As I have been browsing now, side note, I bought all of my cows off Craigslist. That is where I found all of them. All of them have problems except for my bull and the last cow that I bought. It was a dairy that was aligned with my values and going out of business. And they were posting on Craigslist just to get the word out. They had not really sold on Craigslist before that, to my knowledge. But all of my cows did come off of Craigslist. And here is the thing that I have realized as I have bought off Craigslist and I have observed, even when I wasn't quite looking for a cow, I'd go on and go, well, what's out there? Craigslist is often used by the people who are getting rid of a trouble cow. They are causing them problems in some way, and they need to get rid of it. That is most often the thing you're gonna find on Craigslist. Like, finding a good quality cow on Craigslist might not be the easiest thing to do. As of summer of 2025, however, on Facebook, there is a couple of dairy cow sales groups. There's one called the Family Milk Cow Market, I think. Family Milk Cow Market. And I have seen some really quality cows coming across that page. You're going to pay for them, but you're going to pay, a couple of $1,000s for a good dairy cow anyway. So that's just something you're going to have to be thinking about. So what do you look for? What do you ask? First time buyers, look for a cow that is pregnant and in milk. Okay, and the reason you could get one that is dry but confirmed pregnant by a vet, but if you get one that's in milk, you can kind of get to know her, and then you can give her a break, and then she can calve with you, and that way you can confirm that her udder works the way it's supposed to. The other reason for getting a cow that's in milk is you can, if you wish, you can actually milk her before you load her in the trailer and see how she milks and all this before she's ever loaded in your trailer and back on your property. There would be a caution with getting one that's in milk is that, you have to be ready to milk as soon as that cow comes home. So, that's a toss up, but definitely get one that is pregnant. Do not bring home a cow that needs to get pregnant. Do not bring home a cow that needs to get pregnant. It is a complicated business getting a cow pregnant. Do not bring your first cow home open. Okay? Okay. Here are things that you can ask for. You can ask for the veterinary vaccination records. Some people want them vaccinated. Some people don't. Ask for the records. Have they been? What has been given to them and when? Just ask for them. What is the birth date? A good dairy owner is going to keep that date. How many lactations have they had? That is going to kind of help you understand how many pregnancies that they've went through, how long those lactations have lasted. What is the calving history? Was it an easy birth? Was it complicated? Did the calf have to be pulled? That is going to give you some clarity as to what the next one could be like. Now, just because a calf is pulled doesn't mean the next calf won't come easy. That's not something to be scared of, but it is something to be aware of. That if they have had to have a calf pulled before, why? What went into it? If they did, you're going to need to pay more attention to that when calving season comes. Okay? A milking demonstration. Ask to come and see the cow over tour time. Check the udder for hardness, for heat, for swelling. Check it for odd lumps. When they come into the barn, their udder should be full. It should be tight. It shouldn't be so tight that it's gonna burst. That is usually a beginning of lactation thing only. If it's so full that it feels like it's just gonna you poke it and it ruptures, and I mean, that sounds really funny, but you can kind of tell what is a full udder, what is an extra full udder. If it's an extra full udder, they might have waited a lot longer to milk it or skipped a milking or something. And are they disclosing that to you? Are they telling you why they chose to do that? Once the udder has been completely milked out, you can rub it. You can take your hands and feel each quarter down to the teats and feel it. And you shouldn't really feel anything. You shouldn't feel any lumps or bumps or movements inside of it. If you do, that can mean that you're having a potential mastitis flare up. There's all sorts of things but feel that udder before you've ever brought her home. The other thing that you can get when you are if you get a milking demonstration, if you see how the cow milks, is you can taste it. Now, one, milk will hold flavor depending on how they have cared for it, but you get to see that too if you get a milking demonstration, but you can taste that milk and you can see what it tastes like. I have 5 cows. Every single one of them have a different flavor of milk. Every single one of them has a different flavor of milk. The reason the milk from the store is consistent is because there is so many cows contributing to the big batch that is then broken down into small jugs that flavor kind of forms a consistent flavor throughout. The less cows you have, the more likely that flavor is going to be very dependent on the cow. And I have a couple of cows out there that are not favorites. They're fine. It's good milk, but it's not favorites. And I've had other people come to me from other producers and go, we just didn't really enjoy it, but yours is really good. And I'm sure that it could work the other way too, that maybe someone doesn't fit really well with my milk. Most of my customers love it, but maybe someone doesn't. And then they can go to another producer and go, your milk is really good. So it's something to be aware of. Handling. Ask for how she can be handled. Ask for videos of how the cow is handled. Can she be led on a halter or a collar? Does she respond to treats or pets? Can you walk up beside her when she's in the field? Or can you only touch her in a very specific area? I have one cow that is skittish. I tried working with her. If I was to sell that cow, I would have to be very upfront that she will not lead. You cannot catch her unless you can corner her. She can be touched in the barn when she's in stanchion. She stands great. She's an excellent milker. No, you cannot milk her standing out in the field. She's just not going to. And does that matter to you? It doesn't matter to me because I have a barn, but it might matter to you. You get her production information. What is her peak milk amount? What did she peak at? What did she maintain at? Can she be hand milked or do you need to have a milker? What's her teat length? How long are they? Can you wrap your whole hand around it? Ask for pictures. Ask for videos. Examine her in person if you can. Due date. Ask for the due date. When is she going to calve? Is it vet confirmed? Do not trust, well, she looks bred, or, well, I don't think she's cycled in a couple of months. Confirm with a vet. Do not buy a dry cow unless it is confirmed pregnant by a vet. Open, underbred, dry cows can be difficult or completely impossible to breed back. All right? So now you've found a cow. All right? She's home. We're going to quickly touch on breeding basics because I have emphasized this so much. I need you to understand why this is so difficult. All right? AI insemination. AI is artificial insemination. Okay? AI can refer to artificial intelligence as well. In this context, we are talking about artificial insemination. AI is costly and often needs multiple attempts. It requires semen, travel, and sometimes a vet tech unless you're willing to get very gritty and buy the supplies. So with AI, you have to buy the semen. The cheapest Jersey semen that I have personally found to date is $60 a stick. Okay? You use a stick every single time you breed. And you are about guaranteed to try 3 times before you get a good take. Now, some cows are ultra fertile or you're really good at timing it. Sometimes you can find the semen that has a really high rate of, what is the word that my vet used? I don't remember, but it's basically how well the bull is at getting somebody pregnant. So how well his semen works. So the cheapest I've seen is $60. The most expensive that I've seen was $500. And that was just for Jersey homesteading bulls. I am quite confident that my vet, because he's got some what is he running? He is running full brown Swiss registered fancy things. I'm sure he has paid some pretty good money for some semen. So semen can range all over the place. Then you have to pay for that semen to come to you. I am super fortunate to live right next to a breeding facility, and I can drive and get the semen myself, so I didn't pay for it. If I had had to pay for the semen that I bought, it would have cost me $120 to mail it, because it has to stay completely frozen. It has to get shipped on dry ice. When you go and pick it up, if you go to the breeding facility and pick it up, they give it to you in this giant nice nitrogen tank, because it has to stay ultra frozen until you pull it out. And then you have just a couple of minutes to get it inside that cow. And then, so you get the semen, maybe you're storing it with your vet. Now you have a storage cost, unless you have a great vet like I do, where he'll buy in what you need when you need it. And then you have to pay for the vet to come out. In my area, that's going to cost you $150. So right there, just to get a new cow, you are going to be looking at $5,000, $6,000, $1,000 just to get a new baby to keep that milk production up. And the thing is, I'm not telling you that to scare you. I am telling you that because I didn't know any of that when I was like, I'm buying a cow. This is awesome. And then we tried and we hauled her to the vet ourselves, so the vet didn't have to come down, and we did that again. And some vets will only artificially inseminate if they force ovulation. So then you have to pay for like the cedar, and you have to take the cow to the vet 3 times. And I know that does, if you've never heard any of that, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Basically, they have to shove something up inside her uterus to induce ovulation, and then a week later they have to pull it out, and then 3 days later they inseminate. And you can also just like watch for signs of heat and call the vet and go, you've got to get down here at this time. That's a pain too. Because then basically the vet has to treat it like an emergency and stop everything else. It's just a whole ordeal. It's not that hard to inseminate. Like the process itself is pretty straightforward. But I have heard that like when you are learning to do it at like vet school and stuff, like you're about guaranteed to fail a number of times before it's successful and like starts taking. And I've heard that some vets are really good. Like they do something that like they have a really high success rate of artificial insemination. And then there's others that like try and it's just not working. And I'm sure there's so many factors on that, but that is AI. Your alternate is to own a bull. Now, the cons of owning a bull is you have to feed the thing. You have to buy it. You have to feed it. Depending on the cow, like on the bull, it can be big, dangerous, and oftentimes you need really strong infrastructure. Our bull is amazing. He's getting a little bit older and starting to get a little bit more feisty with anybody that is small in stature. So definitely children are not allowed out in the pasture. The cow's not an issue. The bull, yeah, he's starting to make me nervous to the point that I think this is his last breeding season. So he's just like, he's not bad. He's not charging anyone, but he's also there and he could 100% run you over. And my bull is a mid-mini Jersey. He's pretty small, all things considered. But he still has a lot of raging testosterone, and he stands there and paws the ground, you know. So I have a gentle bull, all right? I just told you all these horrible things about him. I have a gentle bull. One of my neighbors from church, was like telling a story at church that his bull got out, broke through their heavy-duty fencing, broke through a second set of fencing, and landed in the pond. and then couldn't get out. And they couldn't get close enough to get this thing because he was a mean bull. Like, he was going to take them out if they tried to get close enough to put ropes around him to pull him out of this stuff. I don't remember how that story ended, but it didn't end good. Because, and like, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm sure he was a great bull and produced great babies, but he was not safe to be around. So the other thing about keeping a bull is that generally you're going to spend $800 to $1,000 on a bull. If you have multiple cows that need breeding, buy a bull. Okay? Like, just money-wise, buy a bull. If you have one, either way, you're going to be looking at that amount of money potentially. So which one is it? You can borrow a bull. So here is the third option. You can borrow a bull or send your cow to someone who has a bull. Now, anybody that's practicing a closed herd isn't going to let that happen. But there are people that absolutely do, or that will loan their bull out, then put them in quarantine before they come back into the herd. Totally can do that. The problem that you run into with sending your cow to somebody whose bull is out in their pasture and then bringing your cow back is either you have to travel to that person's location twice a day and milk your cow so that she stays in milk. The people who own the bull have to milk your cow, or you have to dry her up. So, that's one of those toss-ups. Like, what are you going to do? If you borrow a bull and bring it onto your own property, you have to deal with that bull for a couple of months. But you can keep your cow in milk. So it kind of depends on, the people around you and their practices and what they're willing to do with their animals. Or did they need to keep it a closed herd? Can you send your cow to their herd? Can you bring their bull to you? That is the preferred option, especially if you only have one. If you've maybe tried AI a couple of times, that might be a good one to try and look for. It's like, is there a bull around you that you can, check? So then you have to think about the logistics of transportating and potentially the milking off site. You have to think through all those things. Again, I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this so that you understand, like, what would be expected when you get into needing to produce another offspring. All right. What about taking care of your cow? What about researching, like, your basic health issues? There is mastitis. That is your most common one. It's inflammation of the udder. It needs immediate attention. They also have a tendency to cut themselves, so basic surface wounds, and then bloating. Those are some of the biggest things that you're going to see. And we will touch on this a little bit more in once you actually have your cow, what to do with her, how to help take care of her. But I will quickly state some things that, have helped. I use Synergy animal products. They are based out of Pennsylvania, organic, natural, uses essential oils. They work so good. It is a little vague when you get onto their website about what each of their products do, and that is intentional because of the FDA. But their products are really good, and I can vouch for them. And if you get into this and you want to know what some of them do, I can totally tell you. I just can't put it out on the public things because that would be making a claim about the product. So that is what I do for mastitis and udder conditions and that sort of stuff. For bloat, there are some tools that you need on hand. It is a good thing to keep de-bloat on hand. Bloat is caused by overgrazing, especially if you are out on alfalfa. It is an emergency situation and you need to take action now, not in 20 minutes, not in an hour, now. So there's a couple of tools that you need to keep on hand. A drenching gun is good a tube to like shove down their throat to go past the esophagus and open it up to allow gas to escape. And in super severe cases, they actually have like a little, trying to think exactly what it is, but it's like a little plug that you actually jam into the side of their belly to let off the gas there. And that sounds horribly painful, and I'm sure it is. I've never had to do it because I didn't have one when my last cow bloated and died. I think that would have been the solution. But it's better than actually having them suffocate to death because their rumen and stomachs have expanded so much that it is like pressing on their lungs. So, that's a thing. You also have sore, chapped teats. You would treat that with Bag Balm or Savvy Udder Cream by Dr. Sarah's Essentials. Dr. Sarah Essentials also makes a bunch of things for cows and stuff. Browse their website. They have a lot of wonderful things. So, choosing the right cow is one of the biggest decisions you'll make for your homestead. Ask hard questions. Be picky. Know your goals, because a healthy, well-matched cow can bless your family for years. Do you have a question about breeding choice, buying tips, or healthcare? Email me at connect@simplyliving.homestead.com. I'd love to walk you through cow ownership with confidence. We will see you next week as we talk about actually getting that cow home and how to care for her. We'll see you next week. Well, neighbor, before you head out, I just want to say how much I've loved spending this time with you. If you too enjoyed our time together, don't forget to give us a follow and leave a quick review on your favorite podcast player. It really helps more women like us find their way to a simpler, more joyful life. And hey, if you know someone who'd enjoy this episode, why not share it with them? Let's keep growing this circle of encouragement together. Oh, and don't forget to join my email list. I've got some free printables and weekly tips waiting for you to help you live a purposeful, balanced life, one rooted right in the heart and home. Thanks for being here, friend. You're doing a great job. I can't wait to chat again next week here at the Simply Living Homestead.